Ouch, was that a ghost?
Ouch, was that a ghost?
With Liz?
And Lee. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Today I'm going to be telling the story about Anna Elizabeth Michel. So this is the true story of Annaliese Michel. It's based off the movie. Well, the movie The Haunting of Emily Rose was based off Annaliese Michel's story. So Annaliese's real name was Anna Elizabeth Michel. I don't know if you got that from the first 3 times I said it, but that was her real name.
I'm following.
All right, but she did like to be called Annalise. So she did grow up in Germany. She was born into a Roman Catholic family on September 21st, 1952, in Leiblingen, Bavaria,
Don't look at me.
West Germany. So she was German, and she was a pretty girl. She was a little brunette with a short haircut, nice teeth, if that matters, and she was pretty. Not like that matters, but it does a little. Anyway, so Annalise and her 3 sisters, so they grew up in a very strict, very religious household with their parents, Anna and Joseph Michel.
Okay.
So people would describe Anna as withdrawn and extremely religious as time went on. Mainly her friends would say that. And Anna even admitted to feeling very pressured by her parents. Now, after reading that, I was kind of trying to look into like what her family was pressuring her into, but it doesn't really specify. So I'm assuming they were pressuring, it was, pressure within the religion and pressure within doing good in school and just, overall being a good daughter. The typical pressures of like a normal teenager or a young woman, young adult.
Still as a Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Okay.
So Annalise ended up having her first seizure when she was just 16 years old, which led to her diagnosis of epileptic psychosis due to temporal lobe epilepsy. She also suffered from memory loss and experienced both visual and auditory hallucinations. So that stuff came on pretty quickly. She turned 16 and it was like her world was turned upside down.
I think that's pretty average. I think if you have epilepsy, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like a lot of teenagers is like there's a certain age in males and females that it can start and just come out of nowhere.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm really not. I've never met anyone with epilepsy, so I don't really know exactly how it works. You think I would have looked it up?
Oh my gosh. There was this guy I used to work with, and whenever he would have a seizure, he'd be like, no, don't call the ambulance. This will end quick. I don't want to pay the fee.
This will end
And I'm
quick.
like, I am not really comfortable doing this. So he was like, just make sure nothing's by my head and just leave me.
Like, don't look at me! Don't look at me!
But it was just so normal to him because he had it since he was a child. So he was just like, yeah, don't waste the ambulance thing because I have to pay $100 and I don't want to.
Like, even being trained and knowing what to do, I feel like I would still freeze up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying I'm trained, but
it's scary to see it.
Yeah. That's crazy. Wow. All right. So at the age of 20, so she had suffered from epilepsy for quite some time where she was she really just had that one seizure. So she wasn't suffering for quite some time. She had that one seizure and was diagnosed with epilepsy. She didn't have any other episodes until she was 20. And Anna was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. And
what year was this again?
So in 1970.
Okay.
Was when she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital because she suffered another seizure.
Okay.
Which got her in there. And then while in the psychiatric hospital, she ended up suffering a third seizure. Now, in the hospital, they ended up putting her on anticonvulsion drugs. So Anna was on Dilantin, which has been known to leave some patients with bad experiences. I don't know if they knew that back in the day, but looking it up today, about 20% of the reviews of the drug were negative, and patients experienced negative side effects or negative results, like it wasn't helping them.
But that was only 20%. That means 80% was being helped.
Yeah, we're being helped. But this does kind of raise the question, was this part of the possession or was the medication just ineffective?
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Well, you see
I did not want to be in a psychiatric hospital in the 70s, even though that's on the tail end of the bad. Well, I can't say that good now, but better. I feel like the most haunted places I think of are like abandoned psychiatric hospitals.
Yeah, it doesn't have, there's no information as to what happened in the psychiatric hospital, but I can only imagine the type of treatment she was given.
Yep.
But anyway, so while in the hospital, Annalise claimed that she was seeing demon faces as well as the face of the devil himself.
Oh.
Imagine that. So when she prayed, she said that she could hear voices telling her she would rot in hell and that she was damned. Yeah, no shit. She swore that the devil himself had possessed her. So she literally was telling people that she was possessed by the devil.
So her family, being such devout Roman Catholics, didn't think to like try to get her exorcised. They just threw her in a psychiatric hospital.
Threw her in a psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
When in doubt, psych it out in the hospital.
Okay.
So then Anna ended up being put on Olept. Aolept. It's AOLEPT, which is a treatment for various psychoses. Psychoses. Or C's.
Psychosis is
Exactly. So. But her condition only worsened. So none of the medication that she was put on, and I'm sure she was put on other ones, but those were like the two biggest, none of them helped. And throughout that time, her condition just kept worsening. Annalise ended up becoming afraid or intolerable, really, of any holy places or objects. After about 5 years of treatment, her family was finally convinced that it was a demonic possession and not just epilepsy. So the woman.
No, you're just gonna skip over all those holy places and things. They brought her to churches or put crosses near her or what?
I don't. It doesn't specify. That's literally just what it was saying.
Okay.
Like the timeline, which stinks is there's really no like definitive timeline. It just kind of says she was 20. This happened in this year, but you don't know when what year she really went into the psychiatric hospital, how long she was there, when she was released, like. And it just kind of sounds like the family abandoned her and then was like, wait a minute, let's try and help her out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But so after the 5 years, they were finally like, all right, something's going on here. Let's go back to
5 years later. Yeah, maybe there's a problem now.
So yeah, she literally couldn't walk by a crucifix without like freaking the hell out.
I wonder if they like put it in a towel or something and brought it by her, what her reaction would have been.
Right? Because if it really was just her being mentally incapacitated, like and she didn't know it was there, I wonder if it would have been fine. But
yeah.
Listen to this. So other things were happening. It wasn't just that. But at the same time, it's like you could also say this stuff had to do with her like mental illness. Or you could also say that she was just like, I don't know. You just got to hear the story for yourself.
Okay.
Let me know what you think, if she was mentally disturbed or possessed. So the woman couldn't even walk by the crucifix. She started attacking her family. There was on multiple occasions she peed herself and then would drink the pee off the floor or lick it off the floor. Yeah.
Lick it off the floor?
Lick it, slurp that all up. I mean, hey, it came out one end, she put it right back in the other.
I guess it's sterile.
And she was, when you think about the 5-second rule, it makes it okay.
True, if she was slurping fast enough.
So then she even started, on multiple occasions, she was seen to be eating insects. So, like spiders. Imagine that. I'm petrified of spiders. I can just picture her like crawl.
So until you take that first bite, the thing's crawling around in your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure she lifted it. It was like, la, 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 and it just went right in.
Okay.
And then on one occasion, she was even seen ripping the head off of a bird and eating it.
Stop it.
Yep.
Freaking Aussie.
And then apparently she acquired supernatural powers. It didn't specify, but I'm assuming it has to do with strength or levitating or something like that.
How can they just say supernatural powers and say nothing else?
That's what I was digging into it, but she's all the way from Germany. Maybe the Germans know. And then eventually she just started ripping her clothes off and would perform. So this one's a little crazy. So I'm not saying she would rip her clothes off and then do this, but part of what was going on was another characteristic she had acquired was ripping her clothes off. And then another personality trait that she developed was compulsively performing up to 400 squats a day. So
her superpower is Hulk. Why didn't you just say that?
Is acquiring a fat ass. That's what that is.
BBL for free?
BBL for free.
Okay.
Like, if you're mentally
400
insane.
squats a day?
It gives me there's so many questions. Like, who was observing? Who counted?
Sitting there with a clicker. 4 more to go.
Like, how were you counting? Were you tallying? Was it on your fingers? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, like,
okay,
where was she caught doing them? Like, where were you doing them? And what did it just start in mid conversation, mid growl or something? Like mid hide and seek? Like where were you squatting?
You're supposed to be telling me.
And were the clothes on? I'm just like all the questions that were running through my head.
Yes.
I hope the clothes were on.
Okay.
Anyway, so
But
after
if
all
she
this,
then that would interrupt the Slurpee.
you're right. I wonder if she paused too. It's like
maybe that's why she peed, because she was just doing 400 squats and she didn't want to stop and mess up her reps.
and that's probably why she stopped at about 400 because she had to bend to slurp.
That's true. She got thirsty.
She did, and then she
Okay.
was probably just like, I can't continue.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Why
there's a
get some
lot
good
of
salt in that, like Gatorade.
It raises so many questions.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so
Gatorade sponsor us.
yeah. So the family ended up confiding in a shit ton of priests. But they were turned away by just about every one of them. Finally, in
But wait.
19...
The priests all turn them away?
Yeah, apparently the priest had to get approval from the local bishop, and don't ask me what a bishop is. I don't know what it
I
is.
thought the archdiocese had to approve it. The local bishop does, then it has to go up? Oh, you said you don't know it'll... Okay, forget it.
You're asking a whole lot of
I'm
questions.
sorry.
Making
Sorry.
me look bad. Making
Sorry.
me look
no,
bad.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, local bishop had to
Ye-
approve it.
Yes.
Yes. And it just kept getting declined. So finally in 1975, priest Arnold Renz and priest Ernst Alt were given the permission. Ernst?
Okay.
Cousin of Ernie.
Yep.
Were given permission by the local bishop to do an exorcism under complete secrecy, because they really didn't practice.
And no questions about the bishop.
No questions.
Okay.
No, I
Right.
don't know the bishop's name.
I just wanted to make sure.
don't.
I won't. I'm sorry.
So it was done in complete secrecy because all the churches were declining it. Exorcisms really were
It still
like
is
a
to
thing
this
of the
day.
past.
People do not you have to go through ridiculous hoops to get an exorcism. Like, they don't want to do them unless they absolutely have to.
Yeah, it's some scary shit.
Yeah.
Some scary shit.
So if you get to the level that they're involved, it's like a legit thing.
Literally. So the first exorcism was conducted September 24th of 1975. About 10 months later, 67 exorcisms had been performed.
On her. 67.
Yes.
By the same Ernst?
Ernst and Arnold.
That's a lot.
It is. Can you count that high?
But I thought exorcisms take like a few days.
No. So I guess each one lasted about 4 hours, and they did 1 to 2 each week.
Why did I think they were like day-long things?
Because movies, maybe?
Because movies.
I don't know. I guess it all depends on the possession. Because the podcast once said. So there aren't any details as to what went on during the exorcism, but you can find like audio clippings. They're in German, but they have
that is
like
the
subtitles.
Freakiest thing when you hear like this strange voice come out of this person that could not.
Yeah, it's like a deep growl type of responses.
Can I ask a question?
Given.
Before, when we were trying to set up the mics, was that what you were playing? Yes. Oh, lovely.
I figured we could use some deep growls as we were setting up.
That
Kinda
was
like
really,
background growls.
really creepy.
Yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of the growls, like I was saying,
The growls.
There were no details as to what went on in the exorcism, but they did say that the demons would communicate through Anna through low growls.
Saying words or just growling?
So both. There were some growls, and if you listen to the audio, she is answering
I don't want to
their
listen
questions.
to it.
Well, you did.
Is she speaking in English or like Latin or what?
I'm pretty sure she's speaking in German or Latin. I'm not sure of the.
Oh, she's German.
She's German,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
but there's
you keep saying
subtitles.
that.
There is subtitles that revert it to English.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Sure.
That won't happen in there.
That wasn't the growl.
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Annaliese Michel did end up dying on July 1st, 1976. The autopsy reported that Annaliese died from malnutrition and dehydration. Listen to this. Anna weighed 68 pounds.
68 pounds?
At death. And she had suffered 2 broken knees and had contracted pneumonia. She died a little after she contracted pneumonia. But it wasn't even the pneumonia. Her body just couldn't handle everything put together. Annaliese's parents and both priests were charged. Ernst and Arnold were charged with negligent homicide. They ended up going through this long trial. During the trial, the priests claimed that the demons identified themselves as Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Iscariot, Hitler, and Nero, among others.
Hitler? Okay. German.
Yes, German. So I guess he's one of the devil's top dogs, which would make sense. I mean, he was one of the most evil people in the world.
Yes.
But, like, those names, those are all, like, top. That's another thing, too. It's like these names, they're, like, the top demons. Like, you hear those in movies and this and, like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, was she saying that because she knew them, or was she really possessed? Like, I'm not fully convinced that she was possessed, and I'm not fully not convinced. So not only were the top demons of all demons, but also other demons that weren't named.
Okay.
And then Annalise would have been had been freed. Annalise had been freed just before her death. The 67th exorcism had freed Annalise, and she was finally going to get better.
How did they know she was freed?
Because she was normal.
Okay.
She was more normal than she was the day before.
Okay.
But unfortunately, Anna's death was said to have been preventable if they had sought medical attention just a week before. And that's why they ended up being charged with negligent homicide, because if they had given her medical attention, she would have been fine.
I'll wait 5 years and check on her.
Yeah. They could have also just waited 5 years.
Okay.
So the trial ended up with all parties involved receiving 6 months in jail, but then that was reduced to 3 years probation. So I guess 3 years probation is better than just a quick 6-month thing, whatever. The church also ended up changing their position on the matter and agreed with her being mentally ill and not possessed.
But what changed? Like, what changed their mind? They just changed their view on it, or they actually changed their mind?
View. They changed their view. Now, I don't know if that's because they got scared. Like, think about it. It's the top secret thing. No one was supposed to know about these exorcisms, and the church was behind it. How bad does that look on the church?
Mm-hmm.
So, as a public apology, they probably changed their stance on it.
Yeah.
There's really no research showing why they changed it, but my assumption would be they needed to try and cover it up as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not really covering it up, but it's more like a public apology. Yeah. And what's really sad is when when she was in the beginning of her story, when everything was just starting out, she ended up graduating from University of Würzburg in 1973. So,
of the University of what?
Würzburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just figured I'd throw that in there. So she was even a college graduate, young, pretty college graduate who ended up being possessed.
So she died 3 years after she graduated?
Yes.
It's a sad story.
I know. What do you think? You think she was possessed or mentally ill?
I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough information because they're saying like she had superhuman powers, but they don't tell you what it is except for that she does squats.
That's what that's what I was saying. I feel like I'm missing so much information.
I'm not saying like that she should drink her urine, but that could be a mental issue. And if she is walking by religious things and that's making her freak out, it could be a mental issue that she's not dealing with, or that they don't have the right treatment going for her.
Mm-hmm. It just leaves you with so many questions.
It's
and like
split down the middle. I really don't know. Either way, that's terrible. 68 pounds at the end too.
Full grown woman, 68 pounds. That's so sad. Just imagine how frail and tiny she was.
And broken knees.
Broken knees. It doesn't specify what broke her knees. I'm assuming it's from one of the exorcisms. See, there's just so many things that aren't, so many answers that aren't given. It's just a lot.
Yeah, and whenever I hear mental health facilities, I never immediately think like sunshine, rainbows, caring. It's just, especially in the 70s, you said that she was
Right,
in there.
yep.
They weren't regulated like they're supposed to be, and who knows what was happening.
Yeah, it's sad. But thank you all for listening. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think that Annalise was possessed? Do you think she was just mentally ill?
Thanks so much for listening.
If you have a story you'd like us to share, email us at ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com.
Don't forget to follow our Facebook page, Ouch, Was That a Ghost?